All right, this is interesting. Apparently, the interwebs don't want me playing the Alex Jones was right video. Hold on one second.
We need to not have the confrontation with the police. They're going to make that the story. I'm going to march to the other side where we have a stage where we can speak and occupy peacefully. Tell everybody behind you, march to the other side.
March to the other side!
The police, provocateurs have caused a problem, and the police are throwing flashbangs. We don't want to have a Kent State here. So, I love you. We're saving the Republic. This is beautiful. But please tell everyone you know, march to the other side.
March to the other side!
Hold on one second. I hear a video somewhere in the background. Give me 1 second to find the video that's playing music. Oh, jeez, Louise. Okay, so now I don't hear the video playing. Oh, there was a video playing in the backdrop. You can't see it, but I can hear something extra going on in my head. First of all, good afternoon. Happy New Year. I hear myself playing in the background. Where is it? No, nobody can fully understand how annoying this is. I've left one window open, and I know what it is. It's the original, hold on, episode 192. Here we go. There, I found it. Okay. Now, back to the beginning. Good afternoon. Happy New Year for those who have not tuned in for any Viva Fry streams. Since we've entered a 2024, Karen, I'm feeling better. I had a week of antibiotics, which wreaks havoc, as my wife says, on the, what is it called? The gut biome? I don't know what it is, whatever. It's, I feel better. Still lingering, a lingering sinus-ish, very minimal. For those who don't know, go back to Canada, get sick, get a sinus infection. I'm out for a week. I mean, I was struggling to get streams together, struggling to put out the vlogs, excuse me, so that I could stay in touch with everyone that I love. Oh, yeah, the gut biome, that's it. So now I have to eat a bunch of yogurt and probiotics and all this other crap. Okay, but nobody wants to hear about that TMI. Like, you get old, all you talk about is your physical ailments. I'm sure everybody's very interested to know my sciatic is better. So now I went back to jogging on a treadmill for about a week or 2 weeks, and I feel better. So maybe it's jogging on pavement, but now I'm back in Florida, so I'm going to have to go back to jogging on pavement. Regardless, Happy New Year. We have to start the show at 4 o'clock today because this is not a humble flex and there's no but to this. I don't really want to go, but I've been told you can't say no to this particular football game. I was invited to the Dolphins versus the Bills. And I was like, okay, I'll send Marion can go. What the kids can go? And they're like, no, you can't really turn down this football game. I've never been to an American football game in my entire life. I went to a CFL game. I mean, that I think is like comparing figure skating to NHL. Not to be not to be too mean to the CFL. I went to see the Montreal Alouettes play at the McGill Stadium. And was it the Montreal Alouettes or was it the McGill? Whatever. I've seen a Canadian football game. Someone said, Viva, I got 2 extra tickets. You got to come. And I was like, I got the show. I don't really want to go. I don't like crowds. And I don't really like football. I haven't watched it in a long time. I was told that it's not a game that anybody can turn down. So I'm going to the football game at, I think it starts at 8:20 tonight, which is very late. And I don't like late nights, but whatever, I'm going to go. So that's why I have to do the show a little early. We'll get to the sponsor in a second. I want to do like a bit of a special intro because yesterday was January 6th. It was Happy Insurrection Day. And for people who spend too much time on Twitter, that would include me, and I can fully recognize that. I find it useful to know what the enemy is saying. And if you were on Twitter on Insurrection Day, January 6th, the 3-year anniversary of the day that will live in infamy, what you saw on Twitter is a tale of two cities, a tale of two worlds, one screen, two films. It was some of the most enraging rubbish you could ever possibly imagine. Propaganda up the wazoo. Tristan Snell, Hakeem Jeffries, everybody coming out. It was the darkest day. We must remember this solemn day forever. In hindsight, once you understand what a setup, what an inside job January 6th was, it becomes impossible to just watch and look at the rubbish on Twitter without feeling the need to vociferously call out the bullshit, which I think I did. And Ashley Babbitt murderer is still free. Oh, no, it's not murder, because murder in law is the unlawful killing of a human. They investigated Lieutenant Byrd and said it was totally lawful. We're going to talk about the estate of Ashley Babbitt's lawsuit against the government for wrongful death, etc. You read that lawsuit and it will enrage you. Because, one fact that I don't think many people appreciate, highlighted in that lawsuit, Lieutenant Byrd was not in uniform. There were no warnings given before fatally shooting Ashley Babbitt. So what you have is basically a plainclothed assassin in a crowd, firing into a crowded area with no warning, no instructions to stop doing what you're doing or face lethal consequences. Plain clothed. It's enraging. So we're going to do a bit of an intro. It'll be our the day after Insurrection Day special, because I didn't listen to Joe Biden's full speech. I cannot and I will not. I got the highlights. I got as much of the highlights as I need to get. I want to play you some of the highlights, and then we're going to have a laugh. Listen to highlight number 1. Listen to this. Just understand what he said here. This man is demented. The man is senile. The man has dementia, Alzheimer's, some cognitive impairment. Anybody who's ever seen the face of someone suffering from it knows what that face looks like. It looks like this. Listen to this highlight.
God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Yep. Where am I going?
God bless you all, and may God protect
Where
our
was the one
troops.
where he said democracy? Look at this lost, demented. What in the name of sweet holy hell is that about? You imagine, like, other than the fact it's scary on its face. He understands power, and we're going to see in a second, he really does understand power. Sitting there boasting about the fact that they locked up, got convictions or plea deals from 900 protesters. They locked them up for over 840 years. We'll get there. He's a lost, dawdling old demented man. A woman comes in, he hugs his wife, and then immediately turns to the mic and says, I understand power. Holy hell, people. That is certainly indicative of some wiring of a brain that looks at women and immediately thinks power, on the one hand. And even if it were just him flexing, saying, I understand power. Oh, he understands power. Listen to this. This is from Charlie Kirk.
One desperate act available to him the violence of January the 6th. And since that day, more than 1,200 people have been charged for the assault on the Capitol, nearly 900 of them.
For those of you who can't understand his slurring, demented speech, over 1,200 were charged for the assault on the Capitol.
Have been charged for the assault on the Capitol. Nearly 900 of them have been convicted or pled guilty.
900.
Collectively to date, they have been sentenced to more than 840 years in prison.
Collectively to date, they have been sentenced to more than 840 years in prison. He's bragging about this.
They have been sentenced to more than 840 years in prison.
I've got to look at this demented face. Can I zoom in? I can't. This is the face of someone who has no idea what he's doing, where he is, what's going on, what year it is. Huh? Oh, but the crowd is cheering. This is the left, people. This is criminal justice reform left. This is freedom of speech left. This is a racist, patriarchal justice system left, celebrating over 840 years in prison for the January 6th protesters. And they clap. Well done. This is the same animal that calls Putin a tyrant, that calls Putin an autocrat, dictator, for locking up journalists, for locking up dissidents. This man sat there and boasted to America that it's an interesting thing that he's sitting here boasting about the fact that they got 840 years of prison for protesters. He's supposed to have nothing to do with the justice system. It's supposed to be a system that works totally independently, yet he seems to be taking credit for the convictions, for the plea deals, for the persecutions. Boasting about the fact that they've locked up protesters for 840 man-years. I was sitting there this morning like, it's enraging. It's enraging, but it's mostly depressing. And I'm not saying this to be melodramatic or hyperbolic. It's sad. Not just that this demented fool, this demented tyrant is sitting here burning the system down. You go on Twitter, and there's people who I know are real people cheering it on. There are people out there who say, yeah, it's good. Lock them up. Oh, what's that? The system is racist and locks up black people. We need to have judicial reform, criminal justice reform, bail, no cash bail. Let people. The same people who say this are the same hypocrites who justify 2 years of pretrial detention torture. The same hypocrites who say that are the ones who are cheering on 840 years for protesters. Whether or not you consider them violent protesters, whether or not you agree with what they did. Goddamned hypocrites. There's no other way to say it. And there's a lot of them out there. And there's a lot of them because they're listening to people like this. Listen to this. I forget the guy's name. You'll see it in a second. There's people out there who listen to this news, get this for their news, and it's just Hitlerian level, Goebbels level propaganda, Stalin level Pravda propaganda. Listen to this.
Former D.C. Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone was there that day, there on the west front of the Capitol, battling the mob. He was dragged down the Capitol steps. He was tased by someone in the pro-Trump mob. He suffered a heart attack during the fighting. And in a detail that crystallizes the horror that unfolded on January 6th, Fanone recalls insurrectionists shouting, quote, "Kill him with his own gun." Despite having lived through that harrowing assault and living with the consequences of that trauma, Fanone has not stopped defending our democracy. He has sought to hold those responsible accountable, and he has an urgent message for the American people
3 years
as
later.
the 2024 presidential campaign season gets underway. Fanone told HuffPost, quote, "Ultimately, you, the American voter, will be the last line of defense when it comes to preserving democracy as we know it and ensuring the peaceful transfer of power. And it's that serious." Joining me now in studio is Michael Fanone, former D.C. Metropolitan Police Officer, Courage for America council member, and author of Hold the Line, The Insurrection and One Cop's Battle for America's Soul. Officer Fanone, I'm going to try to get through this. Thank you for what you did 3 years ago today.
I mean, this guy looks like he can't believe what he's looking at himself.
Please tell me your thoughts
We're gonna watch
on
this
this third
over
anniversary.
and over
Hold the Line,
and over
The Insurrection and One Cop's Battle
He's got his
for
Kleenex in his
America's
hand.
Soul.
He's got a Kleenex
Officer
in his hand.
Fanone, I'm going to try to get through this. Officer Fanone, I'm going to try to get through this. Officer Fanone, I'm going to try to get through this. Thank you for what you did 3 years ago today. Please tell me your thoughts
Now I'm done.
on this third anniversary.
Now I'm done. I mean, holy cow. Can it get any worse than that? Officer Fanone, I'm going to try to get through this. Here's the tweet. First of all, I'll tell you one thing. If you're that fragile of a human, get the hell out of journalism. You have no business being in journalism if that is the type of stuff that brings you to tears on air. Get the hell out of journalism, whoever that guy was. I forget his name. Incompetent, fragile, weak, and unfit for the profession. That's assuming it's sincere. That is about as sincere as saccharin. That's about as natural as crystal meth. Disgusting display of shameless propaganda is what that is. Crying over January 6th. Oh my goodness, man. Send him to Gaza. Have him report there. I mean, he won't be able to get a sentence out of his mouth. Send him to Ukraine. Send him to a conflict zone. Send him to the southern border. Hell, send him to anywhere in America where hundreds of thousands of people are dying from fentanyl overdose. Oh, will he cry then? No, he won't. Because it's not part of the bloody agenda. This is about 2024 election interference, and we're seeing the groundwork for it now. Okay, I see Barnes in the backdrop. But, Robert, before I bring you in, you may have noticed, in fact, you should have, when you came into the stream that it said, this stream contains a paid promotion. Because it does, people. It's the new year. Okay, New Year is not just about making resolutions that you will not keep. Keep your resolutions realistic, keep them proportionate, and keep them attainable so that you don't let yourself down by setting unrealistic, unattainable objectives as a New Year's resolution. The easiest one to make and keep, be healthy. Cut out the bad habits, add in some exercise, add in some sunlight, all the regular stuff. Eat healthy, get the bad habits out of your system, pun intended. Easiest way to do that? Fieldofgreens.com, people. Desiccated powdered greens. Eat your fruits and vegetables. It's a little known fact. You're supposed to have 5 to 7 servings of raw fruits and vegetables a day. Most people do not have that. And it's a bad habit to get in. They suck down a disgusting Diet Coke or a sugar-laden Red Bull. Don't do that. 1 spoonful twice a day will give you 1 serving of fruits and vegetables per spoonful twice a day. That's 2 spoons. 2 servings of fruits and vegetables, all the antioxidant stuff. It's food. It's not an extract. It's not a supplement. It's USDA organic, certified, made in America. Tastes good. Twice a day, you cut out the bad habits. You add in a good habit. And you treat your body like the temple that it is and not like the experimental testing grounds that our governments of the world have turned it into. Go to it's fieldofgreens.com. Promo code Viva, 15% off your first order. And what else do they got? So they got a bunch of flavors. They've got other products as well. But the easiest thing to do, get a good, healthy habit. 1 spoonful twice a day, fieldofgreens.com. Promo code Viva. And you're already off to a good New Year's. All right, I see Robert in the backdrop. I'm going to bring him in now. Robert, sir, how goes the battle?
Good.
Long time no see. Now, hold on. I'm going to go into the audio on YouTube and just make sure that our audio is aligned. No thanks.
Right.
Hold on one second. Live. Okay, Robert, tell us what you did over the New Year's, and I'll see if our audio's aligned.
Was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, my hometown.
It's good. All right. What may I ask? What was the weather like in Tennessee over winter? Is it cool or warm?
It varies.
And you had a good New Year's?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Robert, I mean, it's one of our subjects of the afternoon. I suspect you had a good New Year right up until the raid on Amos Miller Farms. Oh my goodness. Okay. First of all, so tell us, what's the book behind you? Are you smoking a cigar? And what's on the menu for the evening?
The Devil's Empire, a book about the French New Orleans, French colonial New Orleans. That I'll be in New Orleans this week on Wednesday morning. They're going to have the oral argument in the Fifth Circuit there in the Federal Court of Appeals. That they're in the New Orleans courthouse concerning children's health defense, whether there's a right to sue by them and other parents concerning the FDA's authorization, approval, labeling, branding, and marketing of the COVID-19 vaccine and its boosters for young children. So our argument is that, in fact, there is a Article 3 case or controversy, that the case should proceed and progress accordingly, and the case should be reinstated. And so I'll be down there preparing for that and making the oral argument Wednesday morning. And that's just a book about New Orleans, which is kind of interesting during the pre-American stage of New Orleans when it was a French colony. And the cigar is a gift of one of our great board members. It's Pappy Van Buren Cigars, which is Pappy's my favorite bourbon, great bourbon, 23-year Pappy's in particular. So thanks to the board member who sent those courtesy of Christmas. And that's about it.
All right, awesome. And what do we have on the menu for tonight?
So we're going to review the biggest cases of 2024. So we got Trump's criminal cases, Trump's civil cases, whether Trump will be on the ballot. We've got the big cases up before the Supreme Court concerning big tech, concerning the Second Amendment, concerning January 6th. We've got the Amos Miller case. We've got the vaccine-related cases, Brook Jackson's case, CHD's Children's Health Defense cases, the Tyson Foods and employer cases. We've got crypto and the Fed and the issues that may be implicated in financial freedom. So we got political freedom, food freedom, financial freedom, medical freedom, all on the docket in 2024. Got a couple of bonus cases about paralegals suing, claiming a First Amendment right to give legal advice. We got Cher trying to become a conservator for her kid. And we've got Biden suing Texas to stop them from enforcing the immigration laws that he's not enforcing. And New York suing to stop Texas from sending immigrants to New York City, which, even though it's a sanctuary city and a sanctuary state, decides they don't want to be the sanctuary place anymore.
May I impose, and can I add as the start off to the show, the estate of Ashley Babbitt wrongful death lawsuit against the government?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, just so everybody knows, we're going to end on YouTube. I guess we'll do this in maybe one or two more subjects. Then we're going to end on YouTube, go over to Viva Fry on Rumble or vivabarneslaw.locals.com on Locals, because we're going to get off of the CommuTube and go over to the free speech platform. Robert, okay, so the big news, we talked about it extensively back in the day. Ashley Babbitt, the estate of wrongful death lawsuit against the government. They had to exhaust whatever the administrative delays are for the government to either answer their claim or deny their claim. Apparently, it's been 2 years. The government did not respond to the claim, so it's a deemed refusal. And they filed lawsuit, the estate of and the husband, for wrongful death. I read through it. I mean, I went through the highlights. Some of the fact pattern is quite damning as far as I'm concerned in terms of Officer Byrd being plain-clothed and therefore indiscernible to the crowd in any event. They go through some of the factual elements as to whether or not Byrd rightly or wrongly thought that he was defending Congress people, whether or not he rightly or wrongly thought that he was trapped in that corridor. In fact, he had an exit. In fact, the majority of Congress had already been evacuated from the building, so who the hell was he protecting? Reckless discharge of a firearm into a crowded area, which, according to the lawsuit, you can't do regardless, because you need to know who's behind you. You got to have a damn good reason for using lethal force. What do you think the chances of success are on this lawsuit in terms of holding anybody accountable?
Well, we'll see. I mean, under the Federal Tort Claims Act, wrongful death claims can be brought against federal officers. You do have to exhaust your administrative remedies first before you're allowed to file suit. Credit to Judicial Watch, which my understanding has taken over the prosecution of the suit, at least at some level. They've also used the Freedom of Information Act request. Judicial Watch with Tom Fitton does great work in that capacity. That's how we found out about Hillary Clinton's emails even existing, was through Judicial Watch's aggressive FOIA activity. Judicial Watch also does great work on purging illegally registered voters from the voter rolls in a bunch of states. They're doing important work there as well. So this is I'm glad that they are involved with the case on her behalf and on her estate. To me, it's a classic case of wrongful death. I mean, no one can tell me that is self-defense. There's no way that's self-defense. To shoot a person who is not presenting an imminent risk of severe bodily harm without notice and just shoot him dead. To me, it's a classic wrongful death case. As the suit details, this officer has a history of misfiring his weapon and mishandling these circumstances and situations. It was a summary execution by the Capitol Police, and there should be legal consequence. The question is whether the courts in the District of Columbia, either the judges or juries, will ever give it or grant it. And I think it shows once again the problem of a District of Columbia even existing as a federal court system. It has exposed its political prejudice and partisan bias in such a way throughout all these January 6 cases, throughout all the Trump cases, that they shouldn't exist. And if Congress ever gets serious about judicial reform in America, then it can start by getting rid of the District of Columbia as a separate judicial jurisdiction. We watched this weekend at the board the film Judgment at Nuremberg. And who was on trial in the Judgment at Nuremberg? The judges. That's who was at trial. The judges just followed what the government told them to do. So they sterilized people against their will. They sent people to the concentration camps. They sent them to be executed on bogus grounds. As the film finishes, he explains to the judge, the German judge, you're absolutely guilty. You knew as soon as you executed one innocent man that you put us on the path to what happened in the Holocaust. And so it's the same. The judges need to be put more on trial. And one way to do that is to get rid of the District of Columbia as a branch, because this is a straightforward case that in any other instance, if the politics were flipped, if the racial dynamics were flipped, if it was a white cop and a black victim, there's no doubt the media would be outraged and the courts would enforce justice. So if justice doesn't happen here, it's purely for prejudicial reasons that prove the incapacity of the judicial branch to be impartial in the District of Columbia.
I hate doing the if the races were inverted, but it's so patently obvious. You get like armed black men who get shot, and then they turn it into a racial issue. A black cop shoots a white woman point blank. In his own testimony, he says, I didn't know if she was a man or a woman. I didn't know what she had in her hands. I didn't see anything. Point blank. It would be headline news forever. And it's, at first it was just like, the day it happened, I was like, you do stupid things. You're asking for trouble, but not that much trouble. It was dumb to be there. It was dumb to be smashing windows. You might be asking for trouble, like with the judicial system, not for summary execution. This is the guy, by the way, Lieutenant Byrd, once upon a time, left his firearm in a bathroom in the D.C. Building, left it in the bathroom. He took it out to take a dump, left it on a counter. Just a very, very qualified officer. The question that I was going to ask in terms of, it doesn't matter. Yeah, never mind. Okay, we'll see. Robert, hold on. Let me do 3 super chats because I forgot to do these. Viva, you can jog in the park while kick soccer ball. No, I'm watching the football game. I'm certain that was from KM. Passion Warrior says, I'm certain that when Biden said he understood power, he meant that Jill has the power, not him. Oh, I didn't even think of it that way. When Jill came out, then Biden knew what he had to do. Okay, that's good. I still like my interpretation better. P.S. Never zoom in on Biden. All right. Okay, let's do one of the Trump ones before we head over.
Yeah, so the Supreme Court has taken up the ballot case. There's also the criminal cases that is pending before the D.C. Court of Appeals. The D.C. Court of Appeals agreed to former Attorney General Edwin Meese challenging whether Jack Smith even has any constitutional authority to do anything.
Okay, hold on. Actually, let's stop it. We'll do that one, then we'll go over to the rest. So I covered that over the holidays, the amicus. This was before the Supreme Court agreed to take it up, so I thought that amicus had...
The Supreme Court did not agree to take that up.
Okay.
And so that's back before the D.C. Court of Appeals, and so now the D.C. Court of Appeals agreed to add that to the pending appeal about presidential immunity. Does Jack Smith have legal power in the first place? Okay,
only on the issue, that amicus, which was from Meese, which said that Citizen Jack Smith was never lawfully appointed, cannot be appointed to that position, bypassing all of the congressional hearings, et cetera, et cetera. Therefore, everything he's ever done in the context of this prosecution has been invalid. Let's just say, Robert, I mean, I think it's totally unrealistic to even think that even if they come to that conclusion, they're going to strike down everything he did. Would they have an administrative way of saying, all right, we'll replace someone who's going to retroactively ratify all of the acts of Jack Smith?
They can't, no. Now, it wouldn't prevent them from another prosecutor separately bringing an indictment, but the current indictments would have to be dismissed.
Well, shut my big mouth then. All right, we're 30 minutes in, Robert. Let's go on over to Rumble, where we're going to continue with the rest of this. Hold on just one second, everybody. I think the link should be pinned, but link to Rumble here. And I'll give everyone the link to Locals as well. If anybody wants to come over there, come on over to Locals. I will get to the hold on one second. I will get to the Rumble rants over on Locals. Now everybody's got the links to vivabarneslaw.locals.com and Rumble, and now we're going to end on YouTube because they don't deserve us.